Alright YouTube, hello, thank you for watching. I'm going my second round here with some household cleaning vinegar. I really don't have any intentions here, just in the interest of science. I got a fractional column, never used one before, so I know less than nothing. Now, kind of on an interesting note, when I watched an MIT video, the girl said discard the first 10 drops of distillate that comes over. Well, no chances of discarding that. Something about holding glassware that high in the air just doesn't seem appealing to me, so sometimes you do what you gotta do. You know, honestly, like I said, never state your expectations when you're doing something like this, at least from an idiot standpoint like myself. So my only thought about what's going to happen here is this hot plate is not going to have enough gumption. I promised I would get some new lights, and man, I bought a light. You know, all in the interest of whatever. I don't really know. Because I definitely don't make interesting videos, but you know, I do try. I only wrapped about a 1/4 inch of fiberglass, if that, around the top. I don't know if that's going to be a train wreck or not, because I mean, obviously, it doesn't seem to me, from a beginner's standpoint even, to have this part of the fractional column exposed, but have the top and the bottom not. Now, that kind of seems like something that just doesn't make good sense. But I think this section of the column is going to cool down more than the top and the bottom, if you get what I'm saying. So don't do as I do. It's probably the best advice I can give you. So we'll let this sit here and stew and see if I can get it hot enough. Now, the interesting thing about starting chemistry is you never have enough. Here I am, I got 2 brand new stands. The thought already crossed my mind today, you know what, these stands just aren't making it. I need to go buy a whole bunch of stainless steel and weld up like some 3 or 4 foot stands. I put a 15-pound transformer to hold that sucker down. These stands are they could be better, that's for sure. The bases on them are not heavy enough and they're not wide enough unless you're stuck with a low center of gravity. And a 400 millimeter fractional column is definitely not low center of gravity. I got the water pump as far away as I could this time. I learned a valuable lesson from the first video. The water pump is so damn noisy, I mean, you just can't, me personally, I can't tolerate it. You know, I did get the vacuum pump basically 4.5, 5 feet away from me. See if that makes a difference. Kind of setting up here on the bathtub enclosure. It seems to resonate like a damn tuned speaker enclosure, if you kind of get my point. Kind of what I found here, and this was the basis for me starting on my exhaust hood, was this. If you're dealing with a fractional column and a lab jack and this and that all set up, I mean, you really need 4 foot of overhead clearance above your unit till you get the thermometer stem out and stuff like that. I mean, something to keep in mind for anybody that's getting into chemistry that wants to build an exhaust hood. Don't think that 30 inches is enough or 36 inches is enough, because you're going to end up building it just to find out you shit your pants on the build. I mean, really, because you'll be tearing it down to do it over again. Almost smells like fish. What in the hell is that? I think it's coming from this fiberglass. You know, I kind of hate to do it this way, but try moving that down off of there. There ain't no amines in this damn flask, I can tell you that much. No fishy smelling ammonias. Alright, we'll let her stew and see what happens. This here jack, I bought this on Amazon. It's not the greatest in the world, but you know, what do you want for the price? It really didn't make sense to me to buy a lab jack that was any smaller than 8 inches. This is something I do here, just kind of guess I'm bored as hell today, really. When I get this here stuff that comes out of boxes, I take this out on the table and pour it out and cut it all out. That way I can fit my glassware into it. It's a little rough to do sometimes. Something here I wanted to say from an amateur standpoint. You know, certainly it's never a good idea to do chemistry in your bathroom. You know, doing stuff like this is relatively safe, but you know, no chemistry is really ideal in a bathroom. But what I've seen is kind of this. Probably an accurate statement. I don't research stuff on the internet because the internet lies so bad, and I don't want to get wrong information in my head. So, in case you're wondering why I don't know things or may not have a clue, it's because I simply refuse to look shit up. Because that's the kind of information we're plagued with. I would rather have no idea and come to my own conclusion than I would to get false information in my head, because once it gets in there, it's very hard to get back out. But my point is this. I would consider acetic acid to be a lacrimator. And my experience was with this, living in a very small area, has been it will reap hell on your respiratory. And I think what happens is if you have some sort of minimal exposure to it in the beginning, I think your body adjusts perhaps to the odor to the point at which you don't notice it anymore. I think things like, not necessarily like this, but I think things can be a little bit deceptive. So just something to keep in mind when it comes to smells in confined areas. I think your body adjusts to the odor, maybe quite possibly to the point at which you could have an overexposure to something and not even really see the signs of it coming. You know, that's just my guess. Well, I gotta figure out what to do with this condenser here. It's starting to condense. It's been probably a good 30 minutes or so since I turned the hot plate on. So it's condensing on those fingers there and dripping back down in. And it's just starting to move up. So I don't know what to do with this column, to be honest with you, but it traveled up that condenser pretty quickly. It really did. The temperatures on the thermometer, it just now started to shoot up. Temperature on the thermometer is 212. I put a bunch of ice into the water pump from the get-go. Well, man, I hate to use this word, but son of a bitch. Here we go again. I think these people are going to get hate mail from me. I really think they are. So it was holding temperature well for a while, and then all of a sudden it just went to shit again. That's what I had happen before. It went to a boil, and then all of a sudden the temperature just started plummeting. And it's been like that for like the past 10 minutes. I don't know what is up with this hot plate. Why would the temperature shoot up, but then all of a sudden drop off? I only really see one possibility for that. I mean, this display is supposed to be sensing through the probe. Well, the liquid's clearly not as hot as what it was before, because hell, it ain't boiling. It seems that something took this hot plate out of a more on, or a more call for heating, is what seems to be happening. Now, interestingly, 2 minutes before I flipped the camera back on, is I cycled this power switch off and flipped it back on, just to see what would happen. Now it's coming back. Huh. Why would that be? The only obvious thing to me is this hot plate's a piece of junk. That's my ultimate interpretation off the top of my head. Well, we'll give it a go again. If I had another hot plate, I'd just do a short video and I'd stick this under the tires just to see if I get any views on it. 160 degrees. It is solid on for heat, but for how long? That is the question. Looks like there's some vapor up there. 200 degrees, 212. Actually, what I was inclined to do a couple minutes ago before I decided to just cycle the power switch off and on, I was almost tempted to pull this damn probe out of there and see if that didn't put it back on. So that's where it was prior to it shutting off, 213.5. So I don't know, man. Let it roll for a while. If it shuts off again, then I'm just going to have to come to a conclusion as to what I want to do. There's something wrong with this damn hot plate. Kind of a lump of about 5 or 6 drops at a time. So it's kind of easily, in my mind, a drop a second. Probably more than that, really. Still sitting exactly where it was the first time it came up to a boil. Maybe a little over 213.5. This is what I've noticed here from the first use when it was brand new. I'm not sure why that is, other than to say the slime or whatever it was that I had in the ice did something to the glass. Man, I don't know, I'm grasping at straws here. It's almost like something is charged, for lack of better technical terms, as to why the water bubbles like that to the point at which you can't see the inside of the tube. No idea, man. I cleaned this out with bleach. There's no liquid condensing back in. I think what happens here on this hot plate is this. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think this temperature here bottoms out at 100, and it can't read above 100. So I think a person would have no idea if this temperature is actually 105 or what it is. I'm trying to think how to explain this. It's almost like a headroom effect where it just simply can't read any higher or sense any higher than 100 degrees C. Whether it would be something simple with the temperature can't convert that into the LED display or what have you, but I think that's what happens. So I don't think this is an ideal hot plate by any means. That's what I'm trying to say. The reason I say that is because this temperature has been exactly 100 degrees for like an hour now, and that just doesn't make sense to me, because there should be some sort of kind of wig-wag on the temperature, I would think. I think there's like overshoot, basically, that you can't read on the display. Shit. That's interesting. Well, you know, $57. There you have it. No motor. Now be done. Well, the motor could have melted. It's really anyone's guess. If I had to take my ultimate guess, I would say the motor melted. So in reflection, it could have been a new hot plate or it could have been a light fixture. I chose the light fixture. You see how things work out. What do you want for 57 bucks? A motor that lasts more than 2 distills? I don't know. Water temperature was up at like 95 degrees after about 2 hours here probably. Just had to bail it all out in a bucket. Drop the rest of the ice bag into it. I got her pretty cold, but I don't think it's going to last for another 30 to 45 minutes. I think my starting fill level was a half an inch above the sticker. I'm also kind of wondering if the motor didn't blow up on this because the fiberglass might have went down and covered the edge of the underside of the heating element. I have to go back through and check the video because my plan was not to let this fiberglass come down over. So I think at the beginning of the video I moved it because it was smelling like fish when the fiberglass was on the plate. So I moved it down. Yeah, well, you know, it's all in the interest of learning. It's kind of hard to tell how much distillate is actually coming over because it comes over in a cluster. I would say it's been pretty consistent at probably over a drop per second. I saw in some video that said that you shouldn't let a distillation carry through at a high rate. I think they said 1 drop every 2 seconds or something like that. It might have been an MIT video, because I am kind of prone to those. Maybe that's particular to what you're distilling, but I certainly don't remember the girl presenting it that way. You know, this ain't rocket science, so I got plenty of time to hone once I learn. But really, I mean, honestly, there's only 2 ways to learn. Well, 3 ways to learn. A teacher, a book, or doing it. Hopefully you learn from all 3 of them, because that would be the best education. Well, I don't know. Somewhere in the past couple minutes, I've lost distillate. Temperature was 214 and dropping down. Don't know the reason for this, other than to say it kind of makes sense that when you heat something up, the properties of the mixture changes with, I don't know. Beats the heck out of me, man. So I think this is a good time to pull the plug because the temperature's fallen down below 200 degrees now. Why, I just don't know. The only thing I know for sure is this, that fiberglass is not my friend. Never has been. Well, you know, you might find this funny. There's one thing that'll make me put on a pair of gloves. It's this shit here. Because I didn't do it earlier when I wrapped this on there, and I'm already paying for it. Me and fiberglass do not get along. Never have. Something about this shit. Some people can lay in a house full of this and come out and not have any problem. Me, I touch it once and I'm done for. Wrapping this fiberglass around a fractional column, honestly, like I said somewhere hours ago, probably could have been a bad idea with my knowledge level that I'm currently at, which is less than nothing. But judging from the trouble that I've had with this hot plate, that was the reason I did it. I don't know honestly how I'm going to be in chemistry other than to say this. The thought of having a bunch of glass laying around with grease all over it just drives me nuts. There's just something about it. I don't feel better until everything's clean. Once I get the grease off that's just kind of laying on there, you know, I feel better. Then I can kind of move on and come back to it and clean it with acetone or something. Some kind of mental thing. Well, $57 hot plate. I kind of have a feeling you're going to be a video tomorrow. If you have one of these hot plates here, don't do something stupid. When I buy stuff like this, the first thing I go to is edges. And it doesn't matter what it is. If it's 3-ring binders or what have you. Because something you'll learn about where this stuff comes from is they don't care about safety. And I'm just going to throw that right at you. So if you didn't use your head and you go to wipe this off, and you run your hand around there, I guarantee you're going to be getting some stitches, because these son of a guns are sharp, and that's very, very typical for this stuff. I see it in plastics. I see it everywhere. When you buy stuff, check out the edges. This here wasn't real bad, but I'll go through and run those edges down on that. So the $1,000,000 question is, what's in here relative to what's in the flask? That is the question. What is in here relative to what is in the flask? It kind of makes sense to me that it would be a good idea to make stuff, because just doing this setup, I was kind of taxed. I mean, really, with what I have here. I mean, this ring just didn't do me any good. What I needed was a flat plate here. You know, the stand didn't do me an awful lot of justice either. So when I started this 4 hours ago, my fill level was a ½ an inch above the sticker. It's very cloudy, which has been consistent with this here store brand vinegar. I'm not sure if it's present in that jug there or not, but I had what I believe to be a shitload of vinegar bacteria. This, on the other hand, is much clearer. Smells like vinegar. This one here smells like stronger vinegar, but you know, this kind of relates to what I said earlier. I think vinegar and certain smells are kind of deceiving. I think when you try to smell something and compare two things, I think as soon as this stuff enters your nose, it like manipulates your ability to smell, if that makes any sense. So that's the only conclusion I can make at this point, is this is cloudy as can be, and this is clear as can be. Now, unfortunately, I wanted a pH meter for this experiment, because me and pH paper do not get along at all. But unfortunately, the light fixture took precedence. That's a pretty familiar that's a pretty familiar color to me. I seem to see this damn color an awful lot lately. Kind of a pH of 4, maybe something slightly greater than 4. I see a trend happening here. It doesn't look any damn different to me, I'll tell you that much. The definition of insanity: doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. But that's not actually true, because I did this a different way. I don't know, can't know. Looks the same to me. I don't have any color problems with my eyeballs, that's for sure. I don't think I could really even sit here and stare at this for 20 minutes and come up with another conclusion other than the one I already just gave you. It looks the same. So there you go. What I did, I have no stinking idea. Spent 4 hours, and because it appears that there's just as much vinegar in here as there is in here. Although this stinks more. But I'm kind of thinking it probably has something to do with maybe the vapor pressure. I don't know, something to do with this mixture still being pretty hot. So, I mean, it's not a fair smell comparison by any means. But yeah, so the only thing I can successfully conclude that might be semi-accurate is, yeah, I didn't separate anything. All I seem to have done was make the vinegar look just clear as can be. That's all I did, man. God have mercy on me. Well, can't see it. Well, I do know this. Well, actually, I don't know this. But, well, I do expect this. There is something different about these two. I guarantee there is. There has to be. Even if it's minuscule, there is some difference between these two. Unfortunately, I'm just not the type of chemist to have the equipment to tell you what the hell the difference is. There's got to be a difference between these two. If I would have bought that pH meter, I don't know. If I would have a damn mass spectrometer, I don't know what I need. You know, I'm way out of my field of study on this, so think about this over the next couple days and see if I can form a half decent conclusion about what I carried out over so much time and effort. Thank you to everybody who left me some very nice comments, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciated that, and you know, it came totally unexpected. So, you know, hey, thank you. Take care and have a great day.